Okay guys, I really quickly wanted to go through and show you how to make a Java application to make sure it comes out right and start working with you on that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a new project and I'm going to call this one Dice Roll 2. It's a Java application. We're going to call it Dice Roll 2 and we're not going to create the main class, and the reason we're not going to do that is because if we do, it creates the type that works in the console, and we don't really want to work in the console. We want to work with a GUI, a graphic user interface. So we're going to just take that off and click finish, and that'll basically create a project over here with nothing. So in this project we're going to click new and we're going to do JFrame form. You could also click on this project and say file, new file, and click swing GUI forms, JFrame form. That's where the proper way of going through. So we're going to create it. We're going to call it our dice roll GUI frame, and that'll give us the frame. And from here we can do things like drag labels, and we can drag text fields, and we can drag buttons. And when you hit play, it's going to ask you a very special question, which is you haven't set a main class. This tells the program where do you want it to start, and we want it to start right there in our dice roll GUI. So right now it doesn't do anything. It should just pop up with some fields and things like that. We can give these all proper names, so we can give this a proper name. Let's say we're doing an email one. We can go to the code button in its properties tab and give it a name. So we'll do this label name, and that should give us the name. If we double click on the label, we should be able to edit the text and put name, and then move this over. We can do the same thing here, and remember the appropriate way to label these is to give it a quick text. So text name, txt, lowercase, capital NAME. Now you'll notice the value is already at JText field. To fix that, we have to go into the properties, and it's somewhere in here. Let's move this down so we can get more properties in there. But it's somewhere in here. There is the text, JText field, and there is text. And we're just going to leave it blank because we don't want a default. Notice it shrinks, so we have to re-stretch it out. We want to add a button so that we can tell it when to do some things. And again, in the code, we want to call this btn, and I'm going to call it submit because that's what you're going to do. And I'm going to go to the properties, and instead of jbutton1, I'm just going to write in submit for the text. Okay, so now we have our form laid out. We want it to actually do something. So we can either click on the source, which there's nothing there other than initializing, or we can go to design and we can double click the button. Now this will create this gray area, and anything between these two gray sections, I like to enter a couple character terms, will be what occurs. And from here we can do things like system.out, because we're going to print to the console. And if you remember, in our design this was txt, and txt system.out.println.txt, what is it? It was txt, sorry, my control space isn't working for some reason. Design, it was txt name. There we go. And we can have it do get text, which is the function for reading text from something. Oh, maybe that's why it switched to a German keyboard. Txt name get text. And we can do this as well. We can just take that and put it in. And the reason why this works is because get text returns a string. So now we can print that and it will print whatever's in there. Okay, so let's try it real quick. Okay, there's nothing in there, so nothing in. Let's go maximize our output a bit here so we can actually see what it's doing. And you can see that it put text. If I go back and I type in hello, when I click this button, it will run this action, which it will print something, and it will get the text name. We can also do a set by doing, as you can see, it made hello, by doing txt name dot set text, and we can say maybe not the txt, excuse me. Let's reset the label, and the label was called improperly LBL name. So let's go LBL name dot set text, and we can name it txt name dot get text. Okay, get text is a property of, or a method of, text name. All right, so now when we run it, let's stop it. We can now get the text, and if I type in text, it changes the label to text. Hello changes the label to hello. So you can see how we're using the get and we're using the set properties of the different objects to do that. If we wanted to use an if statement, the last couple things we can do is we can start doing some comparison. So we can create a string, my string equals text name dot get text. Okay, and we can say a string comparison string equals Kevin, and then we can say if my string equals comparison string equals, and it's a condition, so we can do that. We can say we'll take this and we'll move it, so it'll only change the label if we do that. Okay, so let's try it. And it prints it out for some reason, but doesn't change it. And I wonder why that is. So maybe we should let's see what the error says. Use equals. Okay, so if my string equals comparison string, then set the name. So let's check. And certainly it now works, okay? So we learned a little bit of things. There's an equals part of a string that you can use. Now, we could have simplified this a bit. We could have actually gotten rid of this. We didn't need this. We didn't need that. We could have just went if the text field, get text equals not there, then we could have done it like that as well. And now you'll see it says test, and if we do Kevin, it should print out the name. So now we know how to use this, and remember that anything that you want to happen has to occur within this gray bar where the button starts and this gray bar where the button ends. Okay, and make very special note not to delete these. If you start deleting some of the brackets or you don't have enough brackets where they should be, then bad things will happen. So we can then use that to start doing all of our comparisons, our if statements, if it contains, things like that. If I wanted to check for an @ symbol, I could always use if it get text dot, and we could go through the methods. You can see here's one right there, and we can use the @ symbol, then we can make a decision based on that. So, for example, it'll just print it to the system console, but if I say test at, okay, now it not only does it to the console, but it sets it here. Okay, what if I didn't want it to always do it to the console? Of course, we could just add the else and go from there and move this straight into the else command. Okay, notice I'm getting all these errors now, and it's because I have an extra one of those. All right, so that's it. That's a brief tutorial about how to do this. I hope it helps figure out how to get a GUI window started, how to set up your fields in the GUI, and how to use the get, set, and contains or equals property to do all the comparisons that you need to do to finish out your email form. Okay, have a good time, and that's it for now.